Hello, everyone. I know I'm going to keep you guys all muted. Some of you are gonna, yeah, there we go. I'm starting to popping them in from all over the place. This is good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to keep letting people in here for just a couple minutes. I'm going to introduce everybody. This is Columba. She is based in the New York, New Jersey region for AMA, and she has recently done the routing that we're doing, and she's going to be a great resource for us and be able to kind of walk us through. I know most of you, if not all of you on here, have been, we might be darn near 100% for people that have done these before, either with us or with other groups. And with AMA, a lot of people have done these. So I'm going to let Columba take it away, and she's going to go over the route, and then the most important thing is, of course, going to be the question and answer session that any of you guys have. You've been peppering me with a lot of questions, and Corinne, so that's great. But we've got somebody that has done this, and as you know, when you do it firsthand, you'll have the knowledge to be able to answer any questions and kind of share some secrets along the way and some of her favorite spots and things like that you're all interested in. So, Columba, I will let you take it away.
Thank you very much, Doug. It's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me. So yeah, I don't really belong to you. I'm not in your territory, but
That's
knowing I had just recently done this trip, they put it out there for BDMs to say, hey, who's available and who's done it? And I said, me. I loved it. As I mentioned to you, I mean, Portugal has now become my second favorite country in Europe after Italy. So that's really a big step for me. So we're going to talk about the Douro River, the Golden River, which is just so spectacular, so scenic. I know Doug mentioned that many of you have sailed with us, so you're still going to get that great AMA quality, that great AMA product, with a few little differences. Because if you sailed with us in Europe, our average ship in Europe carries 156 guests. This ship is a little bit smaller. So here you see a gorgeous shot of Porto, one of the most beautiful cities I've seen. The itinerary itself, this is just the cruise portion. I'm hoping that many of you will be able to swing it and do the pre and post, or one or the other, because they really were magical as well. So the nice thing about, this cruise itinerary is that there is an overnight in the town of Porto. Porto is right there on the river. There's two sides of the river. One side is called Porto. The other is called Vega Terón. You can walk across a beautiful bridge. It's got a train that runs across it. You can walk across it. There's a great tram you can take over the city of Porto. Just beautiful, just the culture, the sights, the sounds, the scents, the food. It's just fabulous. So an overnight in Porto, the city of bridges. They'll even do kind of like an illumination cruise if any of you have done Budapest or Paris, where the ship will sail in the evening, showing you the beautiful bridges all lit up. So that's a little bit, about Porto. You'll do a walking tour, Entree do Rio. That's where the two rivers meet. So this is just an overview, but I'm going to go through each of them as we go through the slides. So this is the 7-night cruise that starts in Porto, ends in Vega de Terón. The pre-package for this would be in Lisbon, which I'll talk about, and the post-package would be in Madrid. So I did both. I loved both. So we'll see how it goes. I hope you can do it. So here's the complete map. If you were to do the land portion, you would fly into Lisbon, as you see here, and then we'd make stops along the way up to Porto. So it's a 3-night extension in Lisbon. Now, I don't have the dates in front of me, but I'm sure you have the flyer or whatever Doug sent to you. So you know the start date in Porto. You would just count back 4 days, 1 night to fly over, of course, to Lisbon. Lisbon also, 7 hills, very hilly. I kind of associate it or think of it as the San Francisco of Europe, because it's a very, very hilly town. We'll go through that. So then you'll get on the ship in Porto, go along the way. As you can see, lots of different stops along the way, lots of excursions. What I really appreciated about this itinerary, because unlike the Danube or the Rhine, where you're touching on multiple countries, here you're basically in Portugal on the ship. So there's lots more leisure time. You're going to have meals off the ship, just to give you a more authentic experience, because you've got the time to do that. So it really immerses you in the destination, which I really loved. So you're going to sail along the Douro, traveling to the last stop, which is Vega de Terón. So you see the little anchor here. Now, when you get off the ship with us and you do the extension, we kind of take the long way to Madrid. So we'll make a stop along the way, and we'll talk about that when I show you the slides, because we don't want you to get to the hotel too early. We want to give them time to get the rooms ready for you, but the stops are so well worth it. Amazing. This little town, Tomar, that you see here on the way from Lisbon to the ship, I was blown away by this town. The Knights Templar, if any of you have read any books that deal with the Knights Templar, you will visit this unbelievable church that is there dedicated to them. So just gorgeous sights along the way. So the city of Lisbon, again, 7 hills, you know, explorers city. Lots of famous explorers come from Portugal, Columbus being one of them, obviously, when he got the grant from Isabella and Ferdinand. The hotel we use there is the Sofitel, nice location. The beauty of going on a river cruise with us and doing the pre or post is also the services of the cruise manager. So if you fly into Lisbon, you'll arrive at the hotel. The cruise manager will be there. He has his own little desk. He'll be waiting for you. He'll check you off his list. He's there to act as a concierge, to give you advice, suggestions, where to go, where to stay away from. If you want to make dinner reservations, lunch reservations, you want to get tickets to a museum. There's wonderful museums on both ends of this trip. So that's what he's there for. But remember that there's always sightseeing included on our pre and post land packages. So it's not just the hotel. So when you look at the pricing and say, oh, I could book that hotel for a lot less, that's not the point here. The point is you're there with the cruise manager. All your transfers are taken care of. There'll be sightseeing included and some optional things that you can participate in if you choose to. So when you're from Lisbon, you will visit this beautiful Pena Palace, which is in Sintra, Portugal. It's a very remote, you'll see it from the distance. It's like a vision. Very strange architecture when I got up to it close, because you see the strange colors of all of it. But it's very, very unique. You'll get lots of time to walk around, wander, explore the different rooms on the tour. Remember, the cruise manager's there, but then we always have local guides to take you and give you more of the history and the culture of the places that we're visiting. Another monument that you'll see here is the monument of the Discoveries. So this is beautiful, right at the mouth of the ocean, actually. You'll see a bridge there, kind of looks like the Verrazano, if you're from New York. But it's a monument that is there for, again, all of the explorers that left Portugal to go discover new worlds all over. So right across from there is a beautiful church as well, and palace. Of course, you'll have to taste these wonderful little pastries. There's actually a day on the ship where the chef gives you the recipe, and they'll actually make them in front of you. They'll try to do it when you get home. I haven't tried it yet because they're too good and I don't want to have them, but they're delicious little custard in a flaky crust and really delicious to eat. So this is what Lisbon is known for. Of course, they're also known for their music. So there's an opportunity one evening to do an optional tour, which there's a charge for. But if you're interested, the cruise manager will set it up. So fado is their type of music, kind of like a flamenco, but softer guitar music, really nice. The flamenco will come in at the end when you get to Madrid, but this is strictly musical entertainment. After you leave Lisbon, you'll do your 3 nights there. You'll venture then to the port of Porto, as we mentioned. So you'll board the ship, which is the AmaVida. Now, as I mentioned, it's a little bit smaller than our typical ships in Europe. This ship only carries 102 guests, but it does have all of the amenities as our ships in Europe. The only thing it doesn't have is the specialty restaurant. Okay, so for those of you that are used to going to the chef's table, there's no chef's table on this ship, but it does have a pool. It does have a gym. The masseuse is on board. There's a wellness coach on board. So they get things going for you. The dining room is beautifully appointed. Just a few shots of the ship itself, the dining room. They do a great job. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner will be served in the main dining room. There is a little, if you remember on being on the European ships, what they call the wine rooms. There's one on this ship as well. So if you want to do a little 10 of you kind of break away and do your own thing, you can have the wine room one night. There's local crew and local guides, of course, just like we offer in all of our other European and more exotic destinations. And the scenery. I tell you, there is no nighttime cruising on the Douro River. And I didn't get it until I actually went. Every night before dinner, I would sit at the very front of the ship, and you cannot believe how narrow the river is. You actually see rocks to your left, rocks to your right, and you realize, like, wow, no wonder we can't sail here at night, because they would just run aground everywhere they went. It's absolutely beautiful to see all of the vineyards, the mountainside, gorgeous. There's a pool, so daytime cruising only. Then we get to the destination in the afternoon, we'll disembark, we'll walk around, do your tours, come back, and they do a little bit more sailing before dinner. I was there in August, so obviously it was a little bit, lighter later. So we were sailing a little bit later. You're going in October, so that might change things a little bit. I can't say for sure, but no nighttime cruising. So what does that mean? Another thing, people ask about the Douro River, because I say that there's more motor coaching involved, less just getting off and walking on your own, unfortunately. When I was on the ship, I was with a bunch of friends. They did get off a few evenings. There's like a little local bar right there where a lot of the crew members go. So if you're adventurous, you want to do that, you can. But at night, you're really just docked in the city. You're there overnight. That's how it works on the Douro River. You'll actually go through this lock, which was amazing. 125 feet, I think it was, or maybe meters, I'm not sure, but it was massive. It just gets pitch black. So just sitting out there in the daytime and seeing the scenery, going through the locks, it's totally different than our other European cruises. Totally different. Of course, I mentioned earlier about going to some local restaurants. So we offer, I think, two times where you'll get off the ship for lunch at a local, what they call a quinta, which is a little kind of farmhouse where they have vineyards and their own not wildlife, their own like farm. Yeah, farm, that's it. So you'll get to wander the grounds a little bit and get to see life in Portugal. The town of Porto, another great shot of it. So again, the riverbank, the right and the left, explore both sides. Because you're there overnight, if you don't want to have dinner on board, go find a local place. If you want to have dinner, just get off afterwards and explore Porto, because there's so much there going on. Really beautiful. And the tile work, spectacular. Everywhere you go, you're going to see this beautiful blue and white tile. Just amazing. This little town of Pinhao, this one is one of the ones where you can actually walk off the ship. So if you take the more, not the gentle walker, and not really active, but gentle walker would take a little shuttle that takes you into town. I walked into town, it wasn't far. You get to see this spectacular train station with all the beautiful blue tiles. You'll stand at the foot of that bridge, get beautiful pictures of the scenery. When you're driving up and down to the Quintas and all that, it kind of reminded me of the Amalfi Coast. So if you get a little motion sickness, don't sit by the window because it is a bit curvy, very green, very lush, very beautiful. And then, of course, one of the highlights is to visit the Palacio de Matus. This is an 18th century beautiful home that you'll get to visit, built by an Italian. So the gardens are gorgeous. You'll have free time to explore the gardens after you're done with your tour, but you'll get to see most of the rooms in the house. And of course, Matus wines, so that's what they're known for here. Castello Rodrigo is one of the little towns that you'll visit. Very quaint, very historic. I didn't realize how much Jewish heritage there was in Portugal. I'm not Jewish. I never really paid attention to it. But as you're walking, the guides will highlight things to you. You'll see little menorahs in the street, little mezuzahs on the door. And then you think about it and you say, okay, the Spanish Inquisition, right? So Spanish, Portugal, it kind of all blends together. But there's a lot more Jewish heritage there than I thought I would see. Like when I go to Danube, when I go on the Rhine, there it's expected. But this surprised me. So if you have any special interest in that, do a little research on your own in advance. And you can ask your tour guides as you're going along for them to point out certain things. But every city we went to pretty much had a Jewish quarter, which surprised me. Of course, lots of churches too. So in Castello Rodrigo, there's a small area, there's churches, there's a little shop. Remember here, ladies, if you want to shop, the things that they make with cork are amazing. You can buy cork purses, cork shoes, cork clothing, crazy, but that's one of the highlights here. And of course, the tiles. If you like to decorate with tiles, you can purchase those along the way as well. Regua, Portugal. This is where the town where Machusa's palace actually is. So again, castles, lots of history. This was a special day in Lamego where you can, if you opt to, take the more strenuous excursion, which I did, even though I was having problems with my hip. I said, I'm going to do it. It's over 600 steps to walk from the street level up to this beautiful church, Our Lady of Remedies. If you opt not to do that, they'll take you by motor coach up and around these stairs, and you'll meet everybody at the foot of the church. But I just walked up, I did not walk down. And then, of course, you always have some free time to explore on your own as well in this beautiful little town. We also wandered off on this day to do a little tasting of like prosciutto and, well, they don't call it prosciutto, but the dried ham. I call it prosciutto because I'm Italian, but the dried ham and cheeses, and of course the port wine. So back to the, that was the cruise portion. So back to the land portion now. So like I said, we're going to start in Lisbon and work our way up. Wait, oh, I did this in reverse. Sorry. I put Madrid here first. So 3 nights post would be for the flavors of Portugal and Spain. So Madrid is also a beautiful city. The hotel is in a great location. You can walk to restaurants from there. The sightseeing in Madrid, get to go to the bull ring, where the bullfighting took place. They'll take you to the gardens in Madrid. Salamanca is a stop on the way. So beautiful, beautiful stop. Also, hotel here is the NH Collection. So you get to see the rooms. The rooms are not big. They're not, if you remember, it's European. They got those little elevators and those little rooms, but very cozy, very comfortable, really nicely appointed. And in Madrid, we do offer the option to go to a flamenco show if you'd like to. So again, the cruise manager will have a sign-up sheet. You'll sign up for it, and it'll be added to your onboard account on the ship. So anything you do for the pre and the post, it just goes to your onboard account. So no need to bring like extra cash for that kind of stuff. It just rolls over, and they'll take care of that for you. Remember that when you're on the ship, of course, all your meals are included. When you're on the land portion, you have a fabulous breakfast that's included every day. Usually lunch is on your own, and dinner on your own on the land extensions. So just keep that in mind for budgeting purposes. And there, of course, is the beautiful park in Madrid that you'll be able to explore a bit of. And then Toledo. This is a gorgeous city. You enter from a distance, you get to see this from a distance, and then we take you into the heart of it. Remember, Spain is just loaded with those beautiful centers of the town where shops, restaurants, people just hanging out, enjoying everything around them, life around them. I did some great shopping in Toledo, ladies. Nice shops, nice stores, lots of shoe stores, leather shops, and just great clothing as well. So Toledo is like a full day excursion from when you're in Madrid. So that's pretty much like the towns, the villages we're going to visit along the way, a little bit about the ship and the services. As I mentioned, those of you that have been on with AmaWaterways, that you're going to get great quality service on board. The staff does a great job. They're there really to, for your beck and call. The food on board I found to be wonderful as usual. So nothing new to really discover there. But it's more of a relaxing pace than our other itineraries because you've got those days where you're just sailing, taking it all in. The excursions might be a little bit later in the day in some cases when we're sailing in the morning. Sometimes we're arriving earlier. You like that, huh? Some days we're arriving earlier and getting back on the ship in the middle of the day for lunch and then sailing again. So it's a nice pace. It's leisurely, it's scenic, and I absolutely loved it. So if you want to unmute everybody, I don't know if you want to do that. These people. I don't.
Yeah, as you have questions, you can unmute. I'm going to throw the first one out there because I always have, this is always one of the first things that people ask on all of these, whether it was the Egypt one that a lot of us did, or the France and Spain when we peeled over to Barcelona. I know a few of you were on that one. Is advice on what is advice on gratuities and tipping? Does it work just normal? Because Egypt was a little bit different than
Yes,
some of the other
Egypt,
ones.
yeah.
So,
Egypt is different because you had the Egyptologists, so they're included in the onboard gratuities because they're with you the whole time. So in
right.
this case, it's more like the other European because you've got the local guides. But I will say, we had local guides, but we also had these two girls that were on with us, like pretty much every day. They would get off with, with two groups, like split us up.
Mhm.
But so they were there just to kind of facilitate things, but there was always the local guides. So gratuities, as we say, an average of like 15 per person per day for the shipboard staff, right? And the local guides, if it's a short tour, $3 to $5. If it's a longer tour, $5 to $7. It's totally up to you. I mean, at least it's Europe, so it's euros. When I go to like the Danube, the Rhine, this little bit more confusing with the currency. But here, they'll take US, they'll take euros. It's fine. So you do tip as you go along to the local guides.
Bus drivers, typical things like that you'd see along the way. I know we've done that, especially in Egypt, right? We were doing that quite a bit.
Yeah.
Making sure that everybody along the way was taken care of, because I know they, not like the Australians. I know this is a foreign concept to those coming from Australia, that, but,
And even like when you go to the quintas for lunch, tipping is not required, but I always slip the guy a little extra because they were kind, and they're just so gracious. So it's totally up to you. But the gratuities on board are, just a flat rate for everybody. And then the local guides is separate.
And things I know, Portugal with port wine, I know that's always going to be it's going to be, especially in this cruise, they probably tie another boat to bring one along for all the stuff that's going to get picked up along the way. I'm assuming these little vineyards and things along the way will help mail it back to the States like they would do everywhere, right? Like if you
They
find
did in
really
France, same thing. Yep.
got it.
Personally, it's a little too sweet for me, so I wasn't interested. But if some of you are, yes, they will facilitate and get. There was one vineyard that we went to where the I forget which one it was now, but the owner is quite a character. They kind of named him the Mr. Bean of Portugal because he kind of looks like him. But he'll come and greet you, and he's really quite funny. He makes these crazy faces. He'll take pictures with you, and it's a lot of fun. But they really take it, they appreciate us being there. That's for sure.
How busy is this river compared to, like, I think one of the things that shocked me about the Nile, and I guess I should have known that, but the volume of traffic that goes on the Nile, or obviously the Danube's pretty crowded, the Rhine pretty crowded, Moselle not very crowded. Like, where does this one fit in with like general traffic that you see along the way?
You're not going to see traffic on the rivers at all. You're only going to see it in Porto because the river's so narrow. They really have to control the ships as they're going through. So you'll only see one ship going through at a time. And if there's one waiting, but it's amazing. You don't see anything. It's so peaceful. It's so quiet. The only town you'll see lots of action and activity going on is the town of Porto, because that's much, much wider. And there's smaller craft that will take you back and forth between the two river banks, little boats, little ferry kind of things. But everywhere else, you won't see. You might see things docked along the way, but you're not going to see motion because it's so narrow. You'll be amazed. I'm telling you. I have some videos. I'm going to send them to you, Doug.
I'll send them to the group. Corinne, you have a question? See,
I do actually, Columba. I've got two questions here. One is there only one lock that you will travel through on this cruise? That one?
No, there are, I think, 5 locks in total that you go through. Yep. But that
Beautiful.
big one blew me away. It was huge.
Absolutely.
wanna be
We'll
up top
follow
of
up.
it.
Yeah, we'll follow up. If what we'll do is post this call is we will give everybody, we will send out to you what we have as a confirmation,
Mhm.
whether it's cruise, pre-cruise, with the cruise, or post-cruise, what we have on file for you. And if you'd like to make any changes, we'll be happy to work with a pre-cruise hotel room, etc. Not a problem at all. Any amendments that people would like to make. This is why we love doing these calls this far in advance, because we can add those. Columba, we just wrote a little note, another side note here. Question to me was if you could share via email. We do have another lovely lady who's a cruise director, but any local gems of restaurants you found, we love to be able to share those around.
Okay.
And yes, we will share this recording. That's what we love about doing these. So feel free to take your mic off of mute if you have a question to ask, or keep throwing in the chat.
Bernard has a question.
I see Bernard's got one. Eddie.
Go ahead, Eddie.
Bye, Eddie. There he is. Go ahead, Bernard.
I'm not sure he can hear us, but we can see you, Bernard. It's nice to have some Australians on here.
Yeah.
I see Dennis and Ray are on here. We expect a lot of drinking, song singings from the Canadian, US, Australian challenge. So this is a really fun group. And
So I just want to say this is the Prestos, and we've been on many Emma cruises, and we really love it. And we're looking forward to seeing our friends from Australia again. It was a lot of fun.
Great. That's great. And I didn't mention there was some interesting entertainment on board the ships as well in the evening. So like I said, it's a little bit quieter, but there was one night that they had this group of students, they're medical students, and they came on with these like black capes, and they sang and they danced, and they just brought things like so to life on the ship. It was a lot of fun. So, you know, nothing to consider because it is a little bit quieter. There might not be entertainment every night. There's a piano player like our other ships, but since you're already such a friendly group, if you have any like of your own kind of games and stuff you want to do, bring those along, because you know, it's not like you're getting off the ship. There's overnights, but it's kind of quiet. So bring your own kind of fun things you want to do, and I'm sure the rest of the ship will join in as well if they see you all having such a great time.
they say you always hear us before you see us.
Yeah.
I think that goes for everybody.
Yeah. Especially on that France one, which the Celts can attest to. Some of the others.
It's got the program director. Cruise director.
Hey, I've got a question.
Yeah.
Who's the cruise director gonna be? Is
No.
it the gal that we had in France and Spain or not?
Good question.
Unfortunately, she may have a wedding. Her nephew's wedding may be
What?
the same dates, but we have
Oh.
requested her, so we're just waiting. We'll know in a couple of weeks if she cannot join us. Yes,
Okay.
Helene.
Yes, I
Helene?
had Helene too.
Right.
And I see she has done the Doro a few times. I thought she stuck
Yeah.
with France, but she has done the Doro. So maybe she was practicing for you guys.
Yeah, she has, where we requested her has joined us, so it's, if she's
That's
available,
great.
she does join us. But everybody's been brilliant so far, for sure.
Yeah.
They all do a great job. I was telling Doug that. So I had a wonderful cruise manager on the Doro River. He was like 26 years old. I couldn't believe like how poised, how professional. He was really fantastic. They really take such pride in what they do.
Yeah, it's great. And I mean, our Egyptologists that we had on this last one, I thought were, you know, I think a lot of us that are on this call are friends with Kareem on Facebook and watching what he does. I mean, I think these people they're just fascinating. Emma does get, they do tend to get the cream of the crop, as I've heard through the, you know,
I
these
agree.
all our
Yep.
cruise people, everybody from the tour guides even talk about when they see who's coming through, they stick their hands up.
Yeah.
And for that exact reason, is that like it's a lot of fun people, and a lot more laid back and not as rushed as a lot of the other ones that can do. So that's one of the things I think that will be.
And them
fun
sticking
and-
with us for so many years is a testament. I mean, these cruise managers love working with our guests because they know the guests appreciate them, you know, so they do an excellent job.
Yeah, so everybody, if you do have questions, just bear with us, like for your individual reservations. We do have that big snowstorm hitting Chicago tonight, tomorrow. So we're quite busy trying to get international travelers out.
Yeah.
But we are here for you. We're so looking forward to having everyone with us again together. I'm just looking forward to catching up with everybody. I feel like where are we going to go next is going to be the next question.
I love having stuff on my calendar. I agree. Things to look forward to.
Wow.
All right, before we let Columba go, does anybody have any more questions before we go?
No, not a question. Just thank you, Columba. Appreciated the insight and you sharing your experience with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I
Great.
told Doug already, if this is available this year again, because I get to apply for a cruise within 60 days, I would do this trip again this year. I really
Oh.
would. I did so much. So I
Wow.
hope you all enjoy it as well. And maybe we can get together right before you go with any last minute stuff. Just let me know. Corinne and Doug, I'd be happy to join you again.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you for that.
All
That
right.
means a lot
Thank
to
you,
us.
everyone.
Sounds like a good happy hour.
Sounds like a happy
Good
hour,
to
that's
see
right.
you too. It's
Yeah,
good to
yeah.
see you
Good to see
too.
everyone. It's so good to see all of your faces. Yeah. I love this. This is one of my favorites.
Thank you.